Alright, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the Final Crisis Omnibus reprinting. This came out in December, so it isn't brand new, but it's relatively new. And I haven't seen any reviews for it on YouTube, so I decided to do one. The first thing I want to say is that this thing is massive. The camera seriously does not do this justice. It is really huge. It has around 1,500 pages, and the shipping weight is 9 pounds. And it's an oversized format. Compared to a normal trade paperback, the thing is really big. I believe it collects 51 comics, and the omnibus doesn't actually give you a table of contents. It's interesting because it forces you to read from cover to cover. It's also in chronological order, and there's a lot of thought put into this reading order. The omnibus does tell you what it collects on the back, but it's not in the order it's in the book. So the order of all of it is DC Universe 0, Flash 240 to 241, Teen Titans 59 to 60, Birds of Prey 118, Justice League of America 21, Batman 676 to 681, Batman 701, Final Crisis 1, Final Crisis Requiem 1, Terror Titans 1 through 6, Final Crisis 2, Final Crisis Rogue's Revenge 1 through 3, Final Crisis 3, DC Universe The Last Will and Testament 1, Superman Beyond 1 through 2, Final Crisis Legion of Three Worlds 1 through 5, Final Crisis Secret Files 1, Final Crisis Revelations 1 through 5, Final Crisis Resist 1, Final Crisis Submit 1, Final Crisis 4 through 5, Batman 682 to 683, Final Crisis 6 through 7, Superman Batman 76, and Batman 702. So obviously you're getting a lot of stories here. Batman Rip, you're getting the main storyline, the Terror Titans miniseries, Final Crisis Revelations, Final Crisis Legion of Three Worlds, and everything else. So I'll be talking a bit about the story, spoiler free, and give a mini review. You don't get into the main conflict until halfway into the omnibus, so you have a lot of build up here. I think really the main advantage of reading the story with all the tie-ins is that you get the true scale of what's going on. This is obviously a massive event, and you really get the scale of what's going on in the omnibus. The issues before the story also help so that everything makes sense, because with Grant Morrison, things get really messy. One thing I found is that while reading a lot of this series, I wasn't as excited, but by the end, I actually got invested in the majority of these mini-series and tie-ins. So while reading them, you may not really like them, but by the end, you may like them. Like Legion of Three Worlds is like a follow-up to Infinite Crisis, and I was really invested in the end by that. It actually has a little bit of a twist ending there, and I was really invested in that. By the end of Terror Titans, I got invested in a few of the characters. By the end of Final Crisis Revelations, I was invested. So while reading, you may not really be invested in it, but by the end, most of these definitely get you, so it's not like they're all horribly written. They're actually pretty interesting to read. But if you don't like not knowing what's going on, this story might not be for you, because a lot of things aren't explained until much later. I think that any confusion pays off in the end, and this is a crucial event to DC's history, being the so-called Final Crisis. So that's really as much as I can say without getting into spoilers. I don't have a copy of the first printing of this omnibus, but as far as I can tell, the only major difference is that on the cover of this, it reads Final Crisis Omnibus, not Final Crisis 10th Anniversary Omnibus. This is the same on the spine, and if you take the dust jacket off, it also reads the same. I personally prefer this, as I think it gives the omnibus a much cleaner look overall, compared to the 10th Anniversary Omnibus. I don't know, I think the 10th Anniversary just adds a little bit of clutter there. But since I have the dust jacket off, I'll talk about that. Like DC usually does, it is just a plain black cover, which is always a shame since the hardcovers with art always look amazing. We just have the title and the DC logo on the front and spine, and the back has an Omega symbol at the bottom. Once we open the omnibus, we see that it has pretty good binding. It actually stays flat for the vast majority of the read, with only the first few issues and last few issues being harder to read. The biggest downside here is that there is a bit of gutter loss. Nothing major, but I did have to kind of push the book open more at certain parts. You can't really blame them though. With a book this huge, gutter loss is nearly impossible to avoid. Despite the gutter loss, the artwork still looks great with the oversized format. The paper quality is average. It's about the same as a DC Rebirth trade paperback. So this thing has a cover price of $150 US, and I bought it off Amazon for around $92, including the tax, and it was shipped by Amazon, so I got Prime shipping. There was only a little bit of minor damage to the dust jacket and spine. It's nothing to really get mad about and nothing that hindered the reading experience. I'd recommend getting it off Amazon, but I'm assuming it's on in-stock trades if you prefer to use that, or if you want to buy it at cover price at your local comic book store, they may have it. Overall, this is the best way to get the massive scale of Grant Morrison's mind-twisting event. If you want that extra reading experience, then I'd say you should get the Omnibus. But if you only care about the main story, the Final Crisis trade paperback, or Absolute, if you want that oversized format, has everything you need to understand it. That's really all I have to say about the Final Crisis Omnibus. I hope you all enjoyed. Bye.